like your t-shirt. I like mine. You want to see mine?
Oh, we'll have to show that. We're good?
It should be. Slow internet, so
Let me check.
And if you want to be formal, you call me doctor. And if you want to be informal, you call me Pat.
Okay.
They both work.
Got it. Hey there, it's Jordan. I will wait a minute or two to let the audience build up here in the great city of Cleveland, in the Euclid Park area. South Euclid. It's cloudy, supposed to rain later, but there's a lot of momentum and excitement from what I've observed here on behalf of the Nina Turner campaign. Let me just make sure everything's working. You're sending the text out? All right, so we could start. So again, I'm here in the South Euclid area in Cleveland, 3 days before the election, where Nina Turner is going to be facing now Congresswoman Shontel Brown in a rematch. Much different this time, which we're going to get into. I'm here with Dr. Patricia Blochowiak.
Hey, that's pretty good.
And you are recently a councilwoman in East Cleveland.
Right.
So we'll talk about that. You're an original Bernie-crat, I would say.
I was a delegate. I was a delegate last Democratic convention.
Okay. It's a Bernie.
Yeah, for Bernie. Disappointing not to have a real convention, but it made sense.
The virtual convention? Got it.
Yeah.
And we're actually stopping you right now. You've been knocking on doors here. You've been knocking on doors for a while for Nina. So, I think a lot of people are looking at this and, think it's important, but might not know kind of the differences between the August primary as well as kind of does Nina have a chance? Because obviously there hasn't been a ton of media attention on it. From my observation, it seems that Shontel Brown, even though she's an incumbent, from what I noticed, I was following some canvassers yesterday, a lot of people don't know who Shontel Brown is. A lot of people don't know who Nina Turner is. A lot of people don't know there is an election coming up. A lot of people don't know even where to vote. I think a lot of people in our universe, like progressives, they focus on the strategy, like should you run critical of the Democratic Party or should you run, more focused on this area, which is Cleveland and pro-Democrat. But a lot of people don't realize most people that don't watch like political shows on YouTube and aren't paying attention, a lot of them don't even know there is an election. Can you kind of talk about what you've observed knocking on doors?
Well, part of it is that there's going to be another primary because we don't know yet for sure what our state rep and our state senate districts are. So they're not sure whether what this election will cover and what the other one will cover. So this election, this primary is, yes, it's sort of a rematch, but it's really not at all because the district is so different. In fact, Nina has an ad and you see the district going down and then you move it over. And the district now includes all of Cleveland, and the west side of Cleveland is very good for Nina. And Lakewood, which is also very good for Nina. And the turnout in Lakewood, the early voting turnout, is good for Nina, as it is in Cleveland Heights, which is another place that's strong for Nina. So while it's sort of a rematch, it's really a different race, and it's much better for Nina this time around than it was for the last time around.
Right. And let me break it down so folks, if you don't know. So in August, there was obviously a special election, dead of summer, and Shontel Brown won by a little over 4,000 votes, but between 5,000 and 8,000 Republicans voted for Shontel Brown because that was literally the only election going on. On Tuesday, the Republican primary is the same day as the Democratic primary. I'm pretty safely assuming that 5,000 to 8,000 Republicans aren't going to choose to vote in the Democratic primary rather than their own primary. Right. So when you basically eliminate thousands of those Republicans, that was the difference. That was Shontel Brown's margin for victory. And you mentioned Cleveland, that there's more of Cleveland in this district because Nina Turner won Cleveland last time, I believe, by 10%. So that's pretty important that you have more of Cleveland. She won the majority of majority black wards in Cleveland. So can you kind of talk about the fact that those Republicans are very unlikely to vote in the Democratic primary this time, and more of Cleveland? It really is a new race.
Right. The Republicans have a gubernatorial primary, and it's hot and heavy, and they're really concerned about who's going to run for Senate, who's going to run for governor in the Republican primaries, and Trump has decided who he's supporting for the Senate, and that's a very significant thing if you're a Republican. So yeah, those Republicans are much less likely to cross over and interfere with our race. On the other hand, all these wonderful Democrats who are real Democrats in the real sense of the word, I mean, people who support the working class, people who support what Nina calls the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class, those people are more likely to be voting in this election. And that's what we have. Cleveland, a poor city. My city of East Cleveland, a poor city, and very concerned about those things that Nina supports that will help improve our situation. I talked to Shontel just over a year ago and asked her, did she support Medicare for all? She said she'd have to think about it. I mean, this is a year ago. I mean, she didn't have a clue. And we don't need somebody who doesn't have a clue. We don't need somebody who interferes with the progressives, who interferes with the endorsement of the then Senate minority leader in the state Senate. She's just done so much. She purged people out of it. She interfered with the appointment of a county council member. I mean, it's just not what we want. That's divisive. Shontel is divisive. Nina can work across the lines, across the aisle. Nina has worked with Kasich to work on the issues of police brutality, which has been a huge issue in Cleveland with the consent decree, in East Cleveland that's recently been referred by the local NAACP to the Justice Department for problems. And Nina has experience in working with those things that are important to us.
And remember, smash that like button. We're out here on the ground, in the trenches, on a street corner. So smash the like button for on-the-ground reporting. You know, this isn't my first rodeo. I've covered a lot of elections, and it's always kind of a sign when you see basically a week or 2 weeks before you have an oil heiress dumping, I believe, $1 million into this race for Shontel Brown. You have a crypto billionaire dumping a lot of money in for Shontel Brown. And recently I reported that Reid Hoffman, who is the co-founder of LinkedIn, co-founder of PayPal, big Silicon Valley kind of vulture, in my view, advised Hillary Clinton in 2016, was actually about to become an administration official for Hillary Clinton if she won. Suddenly, he just dumped $500,000 into the mainstream Democrats PAC, which was literally just created in February, and its first money spent is $150,000 here. So I don't believe all of these wealthy oligarchs are dropping in money if Shontel Brown's polling in her campaign was showing her with a comfortable lead. Usually when they're dumping that kind of money in, it's very close, or the polls are showing someone like Nina winning. Can you kind of talk about that big money? Because last time, although Nina outraised Shontel Brown last time overall, at the end, Shontel Brown was just suffocating Nina's campaign with ad after ad, billboards all over Cleveland. Obviously, Nina's past comments about Biden. Can you talk about the money that's being dumped in? Do you see, based on the doors you're knocking, has it been effective in terms of turning people against Nina for Shontel Brown?
I've talked to people who said they supported Shontel in the past who say that now they support Nina because they trust her and they believe her. How can somebody believe that Shontel is progressive when she takes the money that opposes the environment, that opposes honesty, that talks about the winning of evil after she won the last primary. Now, and the other thing is, you look at the yard signs, and yard signs tell you some interesting things. If you look at yard signs for Nina, they're in people's yards. My yard, my neighbor's yard, people's yards. If you see signs for Shontel, where are they? They're in public lands. They're in vacant and abandoned houses. They're places where it's obviously not a sign that a real person supports Shontel. They don't. They support Nina. They support Nina. And when I go to the grocery store, we talk about Nina. I swim at the Cleveland rec centers. We support Nina. Wherever I go to my community gardens, my food. I can't talk.
Community garden.
Community gardens and the places where people sell things, if they grow things at community gardens, farmers markets, and we talk about Nina. We talk about Nina wherever I go. I have, as an elected official, I have a newsletter, and my newsletter talks about Nina, among other things. It's not an official city thing, so I can talk about my politics. Mm-hmm. But you look online, and the things I see are favorable for Nina. Mm-hmm. And I see the same few people who are working for Shontel's campaign who are making comments about her, in favor of her. Nina's, I see lots of different people supporting Nina.
And can you kind of talk about President Biden just endorsed Nina, Shontel. And to me, that was also interesting because he's only endorsed one other candidate this cycle, and he's endorsing Shontel Brown 5 days before the election. Again, you got Biden dropping in, all this money dropping in, Clyburn's coming into town, I think today, actually. But to me, I mean, Biden won the Cleveland area by 35 points, but him supporting Shontel Brown in August, his approval was not like Titanic level back in August. Now, even pro-Democrat areas like Cleveland, not so in love with Biden's performance, the Democratic Party as a whole. So Shontel Brown, she did a video, giddy that Biden endorsed her. But do you think that's going to make a big difference when inflation? It's not like Biden's promises. He doesn't talk about a public option anymore. He moonwalked away from $15 minimum wage faster than Michael Jackson moonwalks. Police reform, nothing. I mean, in fairness...
No canceling student debt. I mean, whatever it is. I think that Shontel and Joe Biden have made a serious mistake, and we're going to see Shontel's support go down to the level of Joe Biden's support. But yes, I think this is a sign that they're afraid. They're afraid that Shontel is losing, and she should lose because she hasn't been consistent. Look at what she did with this Iran nuclear agreement. Biden and Obama, but especially Obama, pushed for this Iran nuclear agreement, which we really feel decreases our chance of nuclear war. What happens? Trump undoes it. Now, Shontel and 17 other Democrats have signed on to a letter opposing Biden's Iran nuclear agreement. Now, she's not even consistently supporting Biden the way she says she will. I mean, she says she'll support him for everything. Well, she's not. Right. And it's another reason why you just cannot trust Shontel Brown. You have to trust Nina. Nina, I've known since she was my state senator here, and I can't remember how long ago that was. Let's say 20 years. That may not be accurate. But every time I see Nina is consistent. Nina supports the policies that I want her to support. She really, truly supports them. And I don't see that kind of consistency with Shontel Brown, and that makes her harder to trust.
Well, I wonder if that her basically obstructing Biden on the Iran nuclear deal has anything to do with the millions she's gotten from the Democratic majority for Israel, which definitely does not want any deal with Iran. You know, you mentioned something, and I want to ask you, because I'm sure you've observed over the last year or two that there's a lot of people who might have been, you know, riding the Bernie wave and, you know, supported, loved Nina when Nina was barnstorming the country for Bernie. A lot of people who supported, you know, AOC and the squad, they have basically fallen out of favor even with Nina. Just thinking, oh, you know what, the Democratic Party, this is the definition of insanity, repeating the same thing over and over again. Even if the candidate's good, they're just going to get elected and, you know, basically succumb to the corruption, the way the system is. They're disappointed with the squad who, you know, AOC said, I'm going to bring the ruckus to the Democratic Party. Well, the ruckus seems to be sending letters to the president asking him kindly to do things. But you said you've known Nina for 20 years. I mean, I personally, I don't really think in black or white. I like to look at the candidate. And to me, Nina's been pretty consistent. She's not perfect. No one is. But what's your message to people who they might like Nina, but they're not enthusiastic about this race, or they don't even think it would make a difference if she gets elected because the system is too corrupt and she would just go along to get along like the rest of them?
I can imagine Nina doing something like starting a real progressive caucus in Congress. I mean, what we have now is anybody can join Congress, and you can progressive caucus, and you can be progressive and you can say you're a centrist at the same time, and nobody questions you on it. And what we need in Congress is a real progressive caucus where they'll have criteria, things that you must support if you're going to say that you're progressive. I can see Nina actually organizing the squad and making them back into what they said they were going to be, calling them out on what they're not doing, and reminding them what progressives need to do. I think Nina can do that. Mm-hmm. Nina is outspoken, sometimes maybe a little to excess, but that's not a problem I worry about. I worry about the policies that she'll support.
Well, I also think, you know, not just with this race, but just in general, I've always thought Americans generally have selective amnesia. And I understand. I mean, people have a right to be angry and cynical and just say, fuck it, you know, the system's too corrupt. I get that because I feel it. I go around this country and I cover the same misery and injustice and corruption. And sometimes I say to myself, what the hell am I doing? Like, am I changing anything, you know? But at the same time, I like to look at a person's record. People forget, you know, Nina Turner, like, committed political suicide back in 2015. She spurned the Clintons for Bernie Sanders. And if you know politics and you know the Clintons, if you cross the Clintons, you're on a list for the rest of your life politically. And she basically, you know, I guess she was going to endorse the Clintons, and they wanted her endorsement in Cleveland for Hillary Clinton. And she went with Bernie, not when Bernie was surging, but when his campaign was still kind of just like a ragtag thing kind of on the grass. And I think that shows somebody who, to me, is not going to go to Congress and just kind of like, you know, write letters to the president. Will she do everything everybody wants 24/7? No, but I don't think that's realistic even for a politician, for a YouTube host, this and that, because, you know, there might be things where there's legislation and overall it's bad, but there's something in there that's good for Cleveland. So, you know, I wanted to ask you, do you see, if she wins, that she has what it takes? Obviously, she can't single-handedly get us Medicare for all or any of that, but to move the ball forward and to actually activate the grassroots. Because that's one thing I feel with the squad, they have not been leveraging the grassroots at all to apply pressure on Biden.
Yeah. Well, if you look at what Bernie's doing, Bernie is going around the country and he is talking about the issues that are important. unions, wages, whatever things are important. And I can see Nina doing the same sort of thing, consistently talking about the issues that are important, working to move the Congress in the direction of the things that are important to the ordinary person. And Nina isn't a wimp. Nina isn't going to forget about what she values. She isn't going to forget about what she told us. She isn't going to campaign on one thing this time and a different thing the next time and then get into Congress and talk about something else. No, she won't do everything I want. I don't do everything I want. Sometimes I sleep late instead of going out and canvassing, whatever it might happen to be. I am not 100% reliable, and Nina will not be 100% reliable, but boy, she'll be as close as anybody needs to be, as anybody can be.
I don't want to bring it to the local level because this is about Cleveland and, you know, the surrounding areas. This is one of the poorest big cities in America. I mean, just driving here, the roads are not great. You see kind of what I've seen all over the country, which is a tale of two cities. You know, downtown has been really built up, nice restaurants, bars, sports arenas, and then you drive 10 minutes down the road and it's a completely different city in the negative. Can you kind of talk about the main issues here? Because there seems to be a lot of investment in real estate and, you know, beautifying and gentrification, not a lot in terms of roads, healthcare, education, etc.
I live in East Cleveland, and probably anybody in Ohio, but certainly anybody in Northeast Ohio, if I tell them I need money for something, I don't have to give them a detailed explanation of what I need, because everybody knows that East Cleveland is poor, even compared to Cleveland. And we need to have the emphasis on the equity that we need. The people who don't have, I mean, you're looking at crime. What's a driver of crime? Poverty is a driver of crime. We can cut crime if we do the things that cut poverty. And that's the minimum wage and the union and Medicare for all and canceling student debt, and all of those issues will help get our city back where we need to be. I'm on a committee in my community where we're working on roads, and there's some controversy over whether we should fix roads in the most prosperous part of our community or whether we should do what we're supposed to do and take care of the things that are in the worst shape. And that's what we need Nina for. We need to make sure we focus on the neighborhoods, we focus on the needs of the poor. We don't emphasize one controversial thing right now is building a new jail, and they want to spend a fortune on building a new jail. Well, if we would focus on getting the people who are in for minor drug offenses, minor marijuana offenses. Nobody should be in jail for a minor marijuana offense. Whether you approve of the use of marijuana or not, it isn't an issue. Right now it's being compared to heroin, and it is absolutely outrageous to compare marijuana to heroin. We need to focus on the things that will get people out of prison whenever possible, and obviously not people who were worried about killing somebody else, but we need to work on cutting crime and getting people out of prison so that we don't need to spend that huge amount of money on a bigger, better prison.
Right.
It's just not a good use of our money.
Where is this prison proposed to be built?
Well, which day are you talking about? Because the last one of the last places they talked about was in Slavic Village, and Slavic Village got a lot of people to write letters and sign petitions, and they don't want a new prison there. And they're talking about putting it on a landfill that might not be safe, and they were talking about putting it in East Cleveland for a while.
Changes by day.
Yeah, yeah, and none of it makes any sense.
Right. And can you talk a little bit more when you've been knocking on doors? When people tell you they're for Nina, do you get a feel that they've been with her all along, or like you mentioned, some of them have changed from August if they previously supported Shontel Brown?
It's different. Some of them have been with Nina all along and have always known and loved and appreciated Nina and the things she supports. But I've talked to a number of people who have said, I supported Shontel, but I trust Nina. I've come to realize that Nina is the one that we can trust and Shontel is not. So it's a combination. I would say more of the people who support Nina now are people who supported Nina before, but not exclusively, and some people are coming around to understanding that Nina is the best alternative in this.
And if this comes down to a nail biter, it might be Lakewood that makes the difference, because Lakewood is new to the district, and Bernie won in 2016. Bernie, I believe, won in 2020 as well.
After Bernie dropped out of the race, he still won Lakewood.
Right.
And that's a huge statement that Lakewood is likely to support Nina. The first office we had for Bernie was in Lakewood, and Nina is actually using that particular building as her West Side office. And she has her East Side office too, and Lakewood is important. Old Brooklyn, the whole west side of Cleveland is much more likely to support Nina than to support Shontel.
And I notice you have the Jews for Nina on, button on. Obviously, Shontel Brown and the super PACs have gone out of their way to paint her as an anti-Semite. I think Shontel Brown is talking about a Holocaust memorial or museum here. I'm Jewish. She's really just pressing on that kind of Zionistic feeling and painting Nina as anti-Semitic for the crime of, saying Palestinians should have human rights. Do you see that as being as effective this time? Because obviously Beechwood is a pretty Jewish area, and that's why she won last time, Shontel Brown. She had a pretty significant victory in Beechwood.
I look at a number of my friends who are working for and actively supporting Nina, my Jewish friends. Marty Gelfand, who used to be a counselor in, I think, South Euclid or Euclid, and now is living in Cleveland Heights, supporting Nina. Candidate for Democratic Central Committee, Sammy Klein, is working for Nina. Devorah Phillips, another Jewish friend of mine, working for Nina, because they strongly feel that Nina is the best option for Jewish people as well as for everybody else. And there are many Jewish people who agree with me and others that the best thing for Israel is not unquestioning support, but it's an understanding that you need to deal with the situation as it is, and that you need to have respect for all of the people there, whether they're the Christians. And I have a childhood friend who's a Christian born in Palestine, born in Bethlehem, and the Christians don't feel well treated by the Israeli government, and the emphasis is on the Palestinians. But remember that the Christians in Palestine and Israel do not feel that they are well treated by the current Israeli government. And we also have to remember that opposing a government is not the same as opposing a people. I mean, there was a time in the United States when we had a certain recent president who I did not support. That didn't make me anti-American. And in the same sense, opposing some of the government policies in Israel does not make one anti-Semitic especially when you remember that the Palestinians are Semitic people too.
Just like opposing what Putin is doing, it doesn't mean we hate all Russian citizens. Lastly, to the people watching, most of whom don't live in Cleveland, what are the stakes of this election? Because obviously the national progressive movement, to me, has not been as involved, or the urgency doesn't seem there among national progressives. Our Revolution has been helping, and other groups. But what are the stakes here? Not just for Cleveland, but the progressive movement overall, in terms of the significance of this election and if she wins for the progressive movement.
When Nina wins, it will be a boost not only for Nina and not only for the Cuyahoga County, but also for the Progressive Democrats, the Working Families Party, and the numerous other organizations that have supported Nina, but also the boost for Congress, the more emphatic support of progressive policies will be a huge improvement for Congress. We look at what Bernie has done to bring forth the progressive policies, to make them more obvious in the Senate, in Congress in general, and in the nation. And I think Nina can do that too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. East Cleveland Councilwoman Patricia, remind me of the last name? Blochowiak. Terrific talking to you. Thank you for doing this while knocking on doors. And I'm just going to wrap up here. So thank you. So, folks, it's about to pour out, I think, in an hour or two. So hopefully we're able to do some more. I believe I'm going to go to Lakewood, which the councilwoman was talking about, which is brand new to this district. Let me not block my United Corporations of America shirt, which you could get at statuscoup.com/store. Rock the Status Coup merchandise and make sure to wear what we actually are living in, the United Corporations of America. That's statuscoup.com/store. But I'm going to go to Lakewood because, honestly, not to get too in the weeds, if you want to know what's at stake in this election and what might make the difference, I think it's Lakewood. Again, it's a brand new area. I believe as of 2 days ago, it had almost 1,000 people had voted in person early or requested absentee ballots. So when you combine the 5,000 to 8,000 Republican votes that Shontel Brown got in August, that she probably will not be getting this time because the Republican primary this time is the same day as the Democratic primary, and then a brand new area that went for Bernie twice. Not that every vote in Lakewood would go to Nina, but you have to assume if it went for Bernie twice, she's going to win there in a pretty healthy margin. On a close election, 500 votes could make the difference. 1,000 votes could make the difference. And I'm not really expecting, based on the numbers of people who have voted in person or requested absentee ballots early, I'm not expecting a huge turnout. That could change. We don't know how many people are voting today, Monday, but in a low turnout election where a lot of the district is different, it's going to be close. There's also the fact that Nina Turner's campaign has been, trying to reach out more to the Muslim community in Cleveland, the Latino community. If you remember what Bernie did 2020 in Iowa, Iowa, you might not think, has a lot of Muslims or Latinos. They were reaching out to Latinos in Iowa. They were reaching out to Muslims in Iowa. They were reaching out to the Somalian community. It's not a big margin, but those couple buckets of groups, it could make the difference. And he won Iowa despite Pete Buttigieg and the media's shenanigans, and targeting those communities helped. So I think it's going to be really close here. You might not see a lot of enthusiasm online in some quarters about this election, but on the ground, from what I've seen, there's a palpable energy here for Nina. The only stuff I've seen in support of Shontel Brown have been Shontel signs like over highways, like over a highway pass, like the councilwoman was talking about, Shontel Brown signs in big open land, public land. I haven't seen a lot of Shontel Brown signs on in homes. That doesn't mean there's not a lot of wealthy people who are going to come out, that they are going to come out for Shontel Brown, and maybe they just don't put the signs up. But I think it's going to be a close election. I think it matters. I know there's a lot of people angry and frustrated and cynical out there. They're done with electoral politics. They'd rather vote for somebody from the glow-in-the-dark party rather than a Democrat. To me, number one, the Green Party is not on the ballot in Ohio, so Nina Turner did not have that option. MPP is not on the ballot anywhere, so we don't have to get into them. And frankly, whether you like it or not, if Nina would have skipped the primary and just run as an independent in the general election, in this area, she probably would have lost by 40, 50. I mean, huge. Basically, whoever wins the Democratic primary in this area goes on to clobber the Republican in the general election. I believe Marcia Fudge, who was the congresswoman for a long time here, she was winning in the general election by 60 points over the Republican. So you have to really decide what is your mission. If you just want folks like Nina to run as an independent, even if they're going to lose, just to start getting that ball rolling of independent challenges, that's fine. But like, I don't really think we have, 10 years to do that. I mean, whether the Democratic Party is corrupt or not, and it certainly is, whether you think change cannot happen within the Democratic Party, that's fine if you feel that way. But either Nina runs as a Democrat, which is the only viable option, or she doesn't run at all. And to me, what we're seeing right now in terms of outside electoral politics, we're already seeing massive progress and momentum right now. Amazon workers getting the first historic victory at Staten Island, which we've been covering. The Starbucks workers, who have a major movement growing. I think they have over 200 stores now have filed for a union. I think they're up to almost 20 that have successfully won the union. Amazon, the second election, I believe the results are going to be out either today or tomorrow. So whether they won that second warehouse, we were just on the ground covering a rally at Staten Island before that second vote. So it's not either or. And I know it's sexier and it gets you more clicks to kind of paint it as either or, like fuck electoralism. Let's just focus on outside. But you want to know something? And I said this the other day. Whether you are disappointed with Bernie and you think he's not fighting hard enough, make no mistake, because I covered the Bernie movement since 2016. What you're seeing with the Amazon workers, the Starbucks workers, the John Deere strikes, the Nabisco strikes, Frito-Lay, the coal miners, all that. The infrastructure for that to happen, the inspiration for that to happen. Bernie Sanders had a lot to do with that, because I got news for you. There's a whole lot of people I speak with from Starbucks and Amazon that say they first started organizing because they were inspired by Bernie. Okay? So I'm not giving Bernie credit for what these workers have done, but it's not either or. And Bernie's movement, even if you're disappointed with him now, has inspired and has activated people to act on their own. And I do believe, I'm not naive. I don't worship anyone. Nina Turner is just a person. She's not a god. And she could get elected, and she might do things from time to time that disappoint progressives. But at the end of the day, do you genuinely think having a corporatist hack like Shontel Brown rather than Nina Turner is going to help us get closer to a Medicare for all or a Green New Deal or canceling debt or any of those things? I don't. So I don't think it's either or. I don't think we could think of Nina Turner as some savior and she's going to get elected and the oceans will part. It's not like that. But to me, the more actual consistent progressive voices in Congress, and I agree with the councilwoman, I think there's a real greater chance if Nina Turner's in there for her to really light a fire under these other squad members to stop going along to get along. I think they actually need leadership to follow. And not Nancy Pelosi style leadership, but Nina Turner. Who knows? She could get elected and disappoint, but I think we need to get out of the business of projecting and crystal balls and, the squad isn't doing what we want, so that means Nina will be the same way. Well, if it's all hopeless, then why bother anyway? Let's just all get high and watch Ozark or 90 Day Fiancé or whatever Scarface mob movie you want to watch. So That's all I got. We're going to be heading over to Lakewood soon to interview another volunteer. Again, Lakewood is new to the district. Bernie won it twice. There's also a Souls to the Polls going on at 2:30. So we're going to try to cover as much as we can. Some of it will be live. Some of it will just record interviews and upload them later. Make sure you sign up for our text list, statuscoup.com/text. That's statuscoup.com/text. That way you'll get a text message when we're live, because YouTube doesn't like to notify people all the time when we're live. So sign up for the text list. It's free, statuscoup.com/text. And if you're not a Status Coup member yet, please consider supporting us, statuscoup.com/join. This costs money. I drove to Cleveland. It was 7 hours. Gas, hotel, rent a car, all that. And obviously on-the-ground reporting in general costs money. Freelancers we have to pay, flights, equipment. We want to grow. So help, grow with us. Sign up, statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Before I go, let me look in the comments. Ozark finale will blow your mind. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Jordan, and all. Thank you. Anti-Democratic Party has no agenda except hate. Turner Williamson 2024. Wouldn't that be something? And sorry if I missed any super chats. It's hard while I'm doing the interviews. Colin 499. Have you asked Nina how she will fight against corporate interests within the party if she wins? Yeah. Check out the last interview I did with her. Nina should have ran as an independent. Again, we went over that. I mean, go look through the history of this district. If she ran as an independent, she'd most likely lose by 30 to 40 points. Whether you like it or not, this is a very pro-Dem, vote blue no matter who Dem. Biden won this area by 35 points. Hillary Clinton, I believe, won it by 30 to 35 points. And the previous Congressman, Marcia Fudge, who's now HUD secretary, she won in the general. So when she won the primaries, she often went unopposed, by the way, in the primaries. She would beat the Republican by 60 points in the general election. So an independent here would not win. So, you could make the argument, okay, but we need to get in the habit of just running third party and build it up. That's fine, but do you really want Nina Turner to be the vanity candidate that runs independent to lose by 30 or 40? I think that's a waste, but that's just my opinion. All right. That's good. So we're going to head over to Lakewood now. Again, make sure you're signed up for our text list, statuscoup.com/text. Also, if I have time, I'll be blogging, developments on this trip. So that's statuscoup.com/Ohio trip, statuscoup.com/Ohio trip. There, I'll be kind of blogging updates, developments. Right now, my feeling 3 days before is to tell you. Oh, we just got a couple. My feeling 3 days before is I don't really have a feeling. I don't want to bullshit you. I don't like predicting, but I don't really have a strong feeling. But I do have a strong feeling that the August election, you could just toss that out. I'm not even thinking about the August election and the results because it's literally a completely different race, both with the new areas of the district, both with the fact that 5,000 to 8,000 Republicans are likely not voting for Shontel Brown because they're going to want to vote in their own primary. So to me, I just look at this as like the first race between Nina Turner and Shontel Brown. But my feeling, although I don't have a strong hunch on who's going to win, I do have a strong hunch that I have a feeling, and based on people I've talked to, that Nina's campaign is much stronger this time. I think they learned from a couple mistakes the first time. I think they're running a really, really well-organized and aggressive ground game, meaning they've been knocking on doors since February. I think they're expanding the communities that they knock on. I think, like I said, they're tapping into the Muslim community, Latinos, as well as college students. So, yeah, if they're going to lose... If they lose, they definitely have left everything out there. Let me read some super chats. Kilkenny, $5. Solidarity on this International Workers' Day. Yes, it's May Day. Fly Chomper Fly. We're here canvassing in Cleveland. Where are you going to be next? Hey, you want me to give you my GPS? My wife will kill me. We're going to Lakewood next. You could email us at info@statuscoup.com and maybe we could link up for interviews. info@statuscoup.com. You could email us and maybe we could hook up for an interview. Thanks, Jordan. Pulitzer for you. I don't need a Pulitzer. I just want people to realize, there's been, in my view, kind of some YouTube hosts that have kind of turned the progressive movement into this, how do I phrase this? They're very good at diagnosing the problem, but once they diagnose the problem, which is the Democratic Party, the two-party duopoly, they are then just leading people on a long road to a dark cave. And I think you know the people I'm talking about. It's not breaking news that the Democratic Party is corrupt. It's not breaking news that we're going to need a lot more than electing politicians to actually change the system structurally. None of that is breaking news. But what I'm here to tell you, and some people don't like to hear it, but I'm just here to give you reality. I think a lot of people who got captivated by the Bernie movement and got involved for the first time, maybe they thought that if we just elected Bernie or we just elected these Congress people or we just did this one thing, then we're going to get Medicare for all very quickly, or we're going to get these things very quickly. And to be clear, I'm not preaching incrementalism. That's not what I'm talking about. But you have to understand something. This corrupt system did not happen overnight. This system of neoliberalism and money suffocating politics and our government being bought off, brick by brick by brick, it was built over 5 decades, starting in the 1970s. The last time we had any sense of income equality was really the 1950s and 60s, when your CEO maybe made like 10% more than the rank and file worker. Now it's 300 times more. So that system was never going to be built, overthrown, or structurally overhauled just electing Bernie or just electing these Congress people. Now, I'm not talking about we need to work for 20 years to overcome it. But the fact of the matter is, I think there's a lot of YouTube hosts and others who have kind of convinced people that if it didn't happen yet, it's not going to happen. And my thing is, I'm not saying it's going to happen by electing more progressives within the Democratic Party. I think structural change is going to come outside of electoral politics. But you want to know something? Do I think having someone like Nina Turner in Congress is going to overthrow the corrupt Democratic Party? No, I don't. But do I think having someone like Nina Turner in Congress actually helps that outside momentum more? That someone like Nina Turner would use her position as a congresswoman to lift the Amazon workers, to help organize with them, to not just show up on a picket line for a photo op, but actually be out there when it matters. Do I think Nina Turner, unlike AOC, is going to flake out on the Amazon workers trying to organize 6 months ago when it did not look good for them? No, I think she would be there. I could be wrong. But to me, it doesn't make sense to just sit in fetal position and say, well, no, they're all corrupt, and AOC and 5, 6 others did X, Y, and Z, so Nina will just be the same. You got to look at individuals. You got to look at the individual, not just the letter next to their name. I would love to be in a world where Nina was running as an independent or Green Party and she could win. For people who say, I don't want to support, no offense to Nina, but I'm not voting for anyone as a Democrat, that's your choice. I don't tell people how to vote. Okay, but then what is the plan to build up the third party movement? What is the plan to actually organize and get on ballots? I said this 2-3 years ago when I was interviewing Nick Brana, like, what is the actual plan to get on ballots? His answer was twisting himself into a pretzel. And frankly, regardless of everything else with MPP, the facts are the facts. They've been going for 5 years. They don't have any candidates. They don't have ballot access. Based on my reporting, the state parties are fleeing the national. It's a fucking mess. So for Jimmy and others who say, don't ever vote for a Democrat. Okay, but where are they bringing you to? MPP and hashtag activism? Let's create hashtags. That will do the trick. Come on, folks. So you vote for whoever you want. You support whoever you want. If you don't want to vote and you just want to do direct action, by all means. My role is not to tell you what to do and how to do it. And I understand the people who, even if it's not anything against Nina or others, they're just not going to vote for a Democrat. They've been burned too many times. That's your right. That's fine. But my whole point is, if you're going to listen to people who tell you don't vote for a Democrat ever, even if the candidate is good, require them to give you an actual roadmap for how they are going to seize power. What is their plan to seize power? I promise you they don't have one. So, with that said, Thank you for watching. Oh, $49.99 from Bin 31. Thank you, Jordan. Here's for dinner tonight. I wish more progressives were there covering the race. I want Nina to win. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, as far as I know, we're the only ones here. Independent outlets. I believe Dave Weigel of the Washington Post was here. I don't know anybody else that's here, but usually we're one of the only ones here. Anyway, thanks for watching. Again, please support us if you can. StatusCoup.com/join. I am here to tell you, we live in the United Corporations of America, and part of waking more people up is building an actual independent media infrastructure with on-the-ground reporting when it's not sexy, okay? Win, lose, or draw. I've covered more elections where the candidate I wanted to win lost. I've covered more movements where we lost. But you got to cover the fight. So support us, and one more time, you could get this fine shirt at StatusCoup.com/store. I would love to see people rocking the United Corporations of America on their beach visits or wherever you go as the weather gets nicer. Thanks again, StatusCoup.com/text to get a text message when we're live. I'll see you we'll probably be live again later today. Bye.